Kellen Voss stared at the flickering display as the live broadcast crackled through every hidden channel on Calavan, his heart pounding in time with the relentless hum of the Empire's propaganda. In the cold glare of the monitor, the image of Orion Cell, suspended from a crude scaffold against a backdrop of cosmic desolation, seared itself into his soul. "This isn't justice, it's an execution of hope," he murmured, voice low and fierce, as the scene unfolded with unnerving precision. The Empire, in its calculated cruelty, had transformed a brilliant mind into a symbol of despair, and yet, in that very act, it had unknowingly kindled a fire that would consume the tyranny from within. "Orion, my love, I promise you, your sacrifice will ignite our rebellion," he vowed under his breath, fists clenching as he recalled the soft laughter and vibrant dreams they once shared in secret meetings far from the prying eyes of Imperial enforcers. The broadcast continued, each moment a deliberate reminder of the oppressive regime's intent to quash dissent, as a high-ranking officer's cold, measured voice declared, "Let this display of loyalty remind all who defy the Galactic Order, sacrifice is the ultimate price for freedom." Those words, intended to instill terror, instead resonated with the defiant spirit that burned within Kellen. "They think fear can bind us, but they have underestimated what it means to be human," he whispered, each syllable a promise of retribution echoing in the silence that followed the officer's proclamation. Memories of clandestine meetings and whispered strategies in the dim corridors of rebel hideouts surged through his mind, a montage of secret plans, bold dreams, and the unyielding determination of those who had chosen to risk everything for a future free of Imperial chains. "No longer will we cower in the shadows," Kellen declared, his voice trembling with a blend of grief and fierce resolve. "Every life unjustly taken, every dream stolen, will be avenged." In that instant, the image of Orion's unwavering gaze, even in death, became his sole beacon, a rallying cry that transcended the physical boundaries of oppression. The Empire's enforcers, their features hidden behind sterile helmets and the cold mask of obedience, marched with mechanical precision, their every step an embodiment of the Empire's ruthless order. Yet, within Kellen's heart, that order was already crumbling, replaced by a singular focus, to dismantle the system that had dared to extinguish the light of hope. "I will find the truth behind this atrocity and expose every hidden lie that has condemned us," he murmured, his words laced with determination that reverberated against the walls of his inner sanctuary. The broadcast's final moments, a display of imperial arrogance proclaiming the eternal nature of their dominion, only deepened his resolve. "Order is eternal," the officer intoned, unaware that those very words would soon ring hollow in the face of human resilience. Kellen's thoughts swirled with the recollection of secret rendezvous and whispered confessions in the dead of night, where Orion had revealed the intricate designs of her quantum nexus, a device meant to shatter the Empire's digital chains and liberate countless souls from the shackles of tyranny. "Your vision, Orion, will be my guide," he vowed, voice thick with emotion as the memory of her brilliant smile lit the darkness within him. Even as the Imperial broadcast ended, leaving behind an oppressive silence filled with despair, Kellen felt the stirrings of a revolution taking shape in his very being. "They may try to break us with fear, but they will never extinguish the human spirit," he whispered, his tone resolute, as he stepped away from the screen, the weight of destiny anchoring each step. In that pivotal moment, every oppressed soul across the galaxy, those who had suffered under the weight of imperial edicts, those who had dared to dream of a future where freedom reigned supreme, felt an invisible call to arms emanating from his unwavering resolve. "We are more than the sum of our scars, more than the tally of our losses," Kellen declared softly, yet with a strength that promised upheaval, for within each of us burns a flame that no force can ever hope to smother. As the remnants of the broadcast flickered out, replaced by the oppressive static of imperial silence, Kellen's mind raced with plans and possibilities, each more daring than the last. The Empire's cruelty had laid bare its true nature, a regime built on fear, manipulation, and the calculated erasure of hope. "They have taken Orion from us, but they will never take our will to fight," he asserted, voice rising like a battle hymn, the quiet determination of his words transforming the silent void into a clarion call for liberation. In that single, fateful act of brutality, the Empire had inadvertently set in motion the chain of events that would lead to its downfall. Every oppressive edict, every act of cruelty, now stood as a testament to the unyielding spirit of those who refused to be broken. I will follow the trail of lies and treachery they have woven, and I will dismantle the machinery of oppression piece by piece, he promised, his voice echoing through the empty corridors of his thoughts, each word a step toward a future forged in the fires of resistance. With the image of Orion's defiant gaze imprinted in his memory, Kellen embraced the weight of his newfound purpose, the spark of revolution now alight within him. "This is not the end, it is the beginning of our uprising," he murmured, his tone both tender and fierce, as if speaking to the very essence of the rebellion she had inspired. The silent witnesses of that moment, the countless souls who had longed for liberation, the hidden fighters whose hearts beat in rhythm with the pulse of defiance, felt the stirrings of change, an invisible tide gathering strength with each passing second. "Our enemy may rule through fear and oppression, but they will never understand the power of a united heart," Kellen proclaimed, his conviction resolute and his spirit unyielding, a promise to every corner of the galaxy that the era of silence was at an end. In that timeless instant, the oppressive weight of the Empire's legacy was challenged by the irrepressible force of human determination, a force that would not be silenced by loss, nor subdued by tyranny. As Kellen stepped away from the remnants of the broadcast, his path was clear, though fraught with peril, to unearth the hidden truths behind the Imperial conspiracy, to honor Orion's memory with every act of defiance, and to light the spark of rebellion that would ultimately shatter the chains of oppression. "I will not rest until every tyrant falls and every soul is free," he vowed, the echo of his promise resonating like a battle cry across the vast, unyielding expanse of the cosmos, a testament to the enduring spirit of humanity that no empire could ever hope to control. Kellen moved stealthily through the dim-lit corridors of the rebel hideout, his mind racing with fragmented thoughts, none of them calm. His eyes traced the hard surface of the walls as if hunting an answer, something that could give him peace after the devastation of knowing Orion was gone. But peace was no longer within reach. Not after the broadcast. The image of Orion hanging, her head slumped forward, eyes staring into oblivion, had left a permanent mark on his soul. The Empire had thought her execution would tear apart the resolve of the resistance. In reality, it had only suffocated Kellen into something sharper, a blade ready to carve through the Empire's heart. His muscles tightened with each step. His focus, honed by years of brutal war, was now concentrated on one thing: finding the truth. Orion hadn't been just a symbol to him, she had been the connection to the deeper, far more dangerous truth the Empire was hiding. Kellen was sure of it. Orion's work had been too important to dismantle with her death alone. They had killed her, but they couldn't erase the fire she ignited. They couldn't kill what she had left behind. The scattered clues, the data fragments, the hidden schematics of her quantum nexus technology, pieces Orion had buried just before she was taken. Kellen wasn't entirely certain what he would find, but the last message she'd left whispered in his bones, and his search had begun. It wasn't just for revenge anymore, it was for a salvation few could glimpse in the dark. As he stepped into the operations room, Dorian, an old friend who had been tracking the Empire's high command and working to expose their lies, met him with sharp eyes, trying hard to mask the sadness. "You're planning something dangerous, Kellen," Dorian said quietly, leaning in. "I can feel it." Kellen's voice was low but edged with certainty. "They've underestimated her, Dor. They think the tech she was working on was just a tool, something to break codes or disrupt comms. It was never just that. Orion was trying to unravel the core of their control, the shadows they've been weaving with their hive mind. She left me a trail, and I'm going to follow it." Dorian hesitated for a moment before nodding. "You're going alone?" he asked. Kellen's gaze hardened. "The fewer people involved, the better. If the Empire figures out what we're up to, we'll all be dead before we blink. You're risking everything." "I know," Kellen answered simply. But I can't leave her sacrifice in vain. Dorian's eyes flickered to the console, which displayed encrypted schematics, the last parts of Orion's unfinished work. He expanded the display, revealing a basic outline of what Orion had developed, a quantum nexus, designed to rewrite the artificial intelligence-controlled systems in the Empire's strongholds, severing the neural link that connected their highly advanced military apparatus and communications grid. It had been her masterstroke, a tool of liberation, not of war. You really think the Empire didn't know this? Dorian asked, his voice disbelieving. They knew, Kellen responded quickly. They knew and let her play her part just long enough to bleed the data from her. Then they killed her to hide it. Dorian's fingers hovered over the keyboard, scrolling through encrypted lines, some almost indecipherable and others incomplete. He looked at Kellen with grave eyes. This is bigger than you, Kellen. The conspiracy goes deeper. The tech you're going after? It isn't real. At least not in the way you think it is. What you want to uncover, what you're hunting, is the Empire's newest weapon. It'll turn minds into puppets. Kellen stiffened. Use Orion's tech to enslave humanity? His jaw clenched. He had heard whispers of simple mind control methods used by rulers to pacify rebellions, but this was different, far more sinister. The Empire sought to take the last freedom humanity had, the will to think for themselves. We can't let them activate it, Dorian said, his face taut with pressure. Orion's invention, it's not a liberation device, Kellen, it's a key to the Empire's next phase of domination. Kellen's hands balled at his sides. I won't let that happen, he growled through clenched teeth. They needed a way to stop it, and he was the one chosen to strike down the heart of the beast. He had known the risks. He had seen the lives lost, the faces of the innocent turned to dust during Imperial raids, the terror stamped across the universe by a faceless, unyielding force. But they had never seen someone like Kellen Voss. The Empire saw him as a relic, a warrior of the old ways, but his mind was a weapon sharpened by years of cruelty, strategy, and profound loss. A man might be crushed under the weight of grief, Kellen had become it. The files led into a spiderweb of encrypted archives scattered across rebel safe houses, scattered across planets hidden among gravity wells and twisting space-time anomalies. The key was locked within them, a decryption tool, Orion's final creation. Kellen held those fragments now. And with them, the map to a vast empire's ticking clock. Time was against them. Prepare to move out, Kellen ordered, his voice firm despite the tumultuous thoughts threatening to scatter his focus. Dorian resisted the urge to argue, instead handing Kellen a small data pad with coordinates that could lead Kellen to a secondary location. One wrong move and you're dead. Don't let it be you. Kellen didn't look at Dorian. His eyes were fixed on the screen that flickered before him, displaying the map that contained Orion's final steps. He didn't care about the dangers now. For Orion, for those who had died while dictators engineered their fate, he was ready to push forward, straight into the heart of it all. After all, if he started this journey solely for vengeance, it was no longer about that, it was about something greater. The resistance wasn't made of soldiers, or warriors, or renegades. It was composed of the heartbeats of lives lived in the shadow of destruction, people working under the veil of fear that the Empire had woven over so many years. Humanity wasn't just resistant, it was resilient. And for Kellen? His hands would break the chains, no matter the cost. 4. After the devastating broadcast of Orion's execution, Kellen's determination surged like wildfire through the hidden corridors of rebellion, compelling him to seek the buried truths within the Empire's labyrinthine underbelly. He moved through the dim recesses of abandoned outposts and clandestine meeting spaces where every whispered secret and coded message pulsed with the promise of retribution, his mind fixated on deciphering the enigmatic fragments of Orion's revolutionary research that had once promised a future free from the Empire's suffocating grasp. We cannot allow their tyranny to silence our future, he declared to a small circle of resolute rebels, his voice heavy with loss yet burning with an unyielding resolve as he clutched a scrap of data bearing Orion's unmistakable signature, a beacon in the darkness that now served as his guiding star. The clandestine network of dissent, though scattered and perilous, thrived on the shared pain of loss and the collective hope for liberation. Every hushed conversation, every furtive exchange of coded information, stitched together a tapestry of resistance that defied the Empire's cruel narrative. In one shadowed corridor, Kellen listened intently as a veteran engineer, his eyes reflecting years of silent suffering, whispered, "Every encrypted file we salvage, every fragment you decipher, brings us one step closer to dismantling their insidious control, a control that seeks to reduce us to nothing more than obedient cogs in a soulless machine." Those words, laden with both sorrow and defiance, fueled Kellen's relentless pursuit of the truth hidden in the labyrinth of abandoned data vaults and forgotten research labs. Navigating through narrow passageways lined with relics of a once vibrant technological era, he encountered former Imperial technicians and disillusioned scientists whose hearts still beat with the desire for freedom. Each offered him pieces of the puzzle, fragments of information that when combined, revealed a chilling conspiracy. The Empire's secret cabal aimed to convert human consciousness into a vast, unfeeling network, erasing individuality and replacing it with a cold, mechanized uniformity. They wish to enslave our very souls, Kellen murmured as he studied a series of intricate schematics illuminated by the soft glow of a salvage terminal, the words echoing in the still air like a vow of rebellion. With every step deeper into the rebel sanctum, the magnitude of his mission grew. Not only was he chasing down the legacy of the brilliant Orion, but he was also uncovering the dark blueprint of a regime that sought to shackle the human spirit with digital chains. Amid the hum of dormant machinery and the soft crackle of static from ancient servers, Kellen pieced together data that confirmed his worst fears. The Empire planned to harness Orion's quantum nexus, a device of unimaginable potential, to convert every free mind into a node of their omnipresent hive, a fate that would extinguish the flame of individuality forever. In a dimly lit chamber where blue holographic lights danced over fragmented code, a timid rebel technician leaned in and confessed, "This algorithm they've designed isn't merely for control, it's a digital straitjacket, meant to bind every thought, every dream, until there is nothing left but obedience." The gravity of that revelation sparked a furious determination in Kellen's heart, and he vowed, with every fiber of his being, to expose this monstrous plan. As he gathered more data, the rebel cells, once fractured by fear and isolation, began to pulse with renewed energy, their collective resolve coalescing into a formidable force prepared to challenge the Empire's dominion. "We must act now," Kellen urged during a clandestine assembly of rebels huddled around a flickering display of decrypted files. "For every moment we delay, they tighten the noose around our future, and every life already lost demands that we strike back with all the fury we possess." The rebels, their faces set in grim determination, responded with quiet nods and murmurs of agreement, each understanding that the stakes extended far beyond personal loss. They were fighting for the very essence of what it meant to be human. Through nights filled with whispered strategies and days marked by covert operations in forgotten warehouses and derelict laboratories, Kellen labored tirelessly to decode the remaining fragments of Orion's work. Each piece of data he recovered, each hidden archive he infiltrated, served as a testament to the brilliance of a mind lost too soon and as ammunition against a regime that had grown complacent in its cruelty. The risks were immense. Every movement in the shadows carried the threat of betrayal, every intercepted transmission a potential trap laid by Imperial informants. Yet, the knowledge that the Empire's most sinister ambitions were laid bare before him fortified Kellen's resolve. "They think fear will keep us caged," he declared one bitter evening as he scrutinized the final segment of a fragmented code, "but our hope is a force they can neither calculate nor contain." His words, spoken with a fervor born of deep personal loss and the collective suffering of countless souls, resonated through the cramped confines of the rebel hideout, uniting every heart in a shared determination to reclaim their stolen future. Amid the labyrinth of encrypted files and decaying terminals, Kellen discovered the digital key, a small, unassuming string of data that held the power to unlock the full potential of Orion's quantum nexus and, in doing so, shatter the Empire's neural control network. The significance of this discovery was not lost on him. It was as if every sacrifice, every whispered prayer for justice, had led to this singular, potent moment of clarity. "This key is our salvation," he announced in a hushed yet resolute tone, his eyes alight with a fervor that belied the physical toll of his journey, "and with it, we will free every mind, restore every lost dream, and dismantle the Empire's stranglehold on our destiny." In that charged moment, the room seemed to vibrate with the pulse of a burgeoning revolution, the digital key symbolizing not merely a technical breakthrough but the collective spirit of resistance that had long been suppressed under the Empire's yoke. As Kellen clutched the key, the rebels around him felt an electric surge of possibility, a promise that even in the darkest of times, the spark of rebellion could ignite a conflagration of change. Every decrypted file, every whispered secret that had led to this moment, coalesced into a powerful narrative of defiance and hope, a narrative that challenged the Empire's narrative of omnipotence and showcased the indomitable strength of the human spirit. In that single, defining act of discovery, Kellen realized that their fight was not merely a battle against an oppressive regime but a quest to reclaim the very soul of humanity, a soul that could never be reduced to mere code or silenced by the cold machinery of control. The data he had unearthed, now crystallized into the digital key, was a clarion call to every rebel, every free spirit still hidden in the shadows of tyranny, affirming that the Empire's dark designs were vulnerable to the light of truth and the relentless power of hope. With the key in hand and a renewed sense of purpose burning in his heart, Kellen prepared to lead his comrades into the next phase of their rebellion, a phase that promised to expose every lie, dismantle every chain, and ultimately restore the freedom that was rightfully theirs. In that moment, as the echoes of whispered resistance merged with the silent determination of every soul gathered there, it became abundantly clear that no empire, however vast or ruthless, could ever extinguish the radiant flame of human defiance. Kellen pressed forward into the labyrinthine corridors of the Imperial Orbital Station, his determination as unyielding as the cold metal that surrounded him, each step a defiant beat in the heart of a tyranny that sought to snuff out the human spirit. His pulse thundered in his ears as he advanced, every fiber of his being honed by loss and driven by the memory of Orion's luminous smile, now twisted into a beacon of rebellion in his mind. "There is no retreat from this moment," he murmured, his voice barely audible over the steady hum of alien machinery and the echoing alarms that began to wail through the station's metallic veins, signaling that the Empire's wrath had been aroused. The corridor ahead stretched into darkness, punctuated by sporadic flashes of emergency lighting that cast eerie, shifting shadows along the walls. Kellen recalled the whispered promises of liberation and the secret meetings that had once kindled hope in the hearts of the oppressed. Now, every step into this fortress of control was a step toward reclaiming that stolen future. As he navigated a narrow passage, the sound of clanking boots and the low, synchronized murmur of Imperial enforcers reached his ears, and he flattened his body against the cold surface, his eyes narrowing as he calculated his next move. "Your reign of terror ends tonight," he hissed under his breath, a quiet vow that resonated with the strength of countless souls who had suffered beneath the Empire's iron grip. With stealth and precision, he slipped past the patrol, his every movement a delicate balance between instinct and purpose. The station's interior was a maze of corridors and hidden control nodes, each one a testament to the Empire's obsessive need for order and dominance over every free thought. At the center of this mechanical behemoth lay the quantum nexus, a pulsating core of energy and alien circuitry that had been twisted by Imperial ambition into a tool for enslaving human consciousness. Reaching the central chamber, Kellen paused, his breath catching as he beheld the monstrous device. Its surface shimmered with unstable energy, an ominous promise of control and subjugation that stoked the fires of his resolve. "Orion, your vision will not die here," he declared softly, the memory of her brilliant ingenuity mingling with the resolve in his voice as he approached the console that interfaced with the Nexus. Without hesitation, he began to override the system's security protocols, his fingers dancing over the controls with a mixture of desperate fervor and practiced expertise. The Nexus responded to his touch, its chaotic energy fluctuating as he rerouted its functions, attempting to transform it from a weapon of oppression into an instrument of liberation. Suddenly, the calm of his focused rebellion shattered as a shrill alarm pierced the air, and the station's automated defenses roared to life. Intruder alert, containment protocols activated, a disembodied voice commanded, cold and unfeeling, as a barrage of energy beams shot across the chamber. Kellen dove behind a bulkhead, narrowly evading the searing bolts that seared the space where he had stood moments before, his heart pounding in synchrony with the escalating chaos. "I did not come this far to be crushed by your cruelty," he shouted defiantly into the cacophony, the sound of his voice a rallying cry that seemed to momentarily still the storm of technological fury. As he scrambled to regain control of the console, Imperial enforcers surged into the chamber with a mechanical precision that threatened to overwhelm him. Their visors glowed with an unyielding blue light as they advanced, their weapons ready to quash any sign of rebellion. In the heat of the confrontation, Kellen's mind raced back to the many nights spent planning, the clandestine whispers of hope that had echoed in secret bunkers and hidden networks. Every memory lent him strength, every thought of Orion fueling his resolve to defy the Empire's inhumanity. "You cannot cage the human spirit," he roared, unleashing a surge of command through the Nexus as he repurposed the device's energy to disrupt the Enforcer's coordinated assault. A brilliant flash of light erupted from the console, and for a moment, the station trembled as the carefully constructed matrix of control began to fracture. The Enforcers faltered, their formation disintegrating in the wake of the unleashed energy, and Kellen seized the moment to press his advantage. With a series of rapid keystrokes, he initiated a cascade of commands that reconfigured the quantum nexus, channeling its vast power into a counteroffensive designed to sever the Empire's neural grip on the captive minds throughout the galaxy. The chamber pulsed with an otherworldly light, and the very walls seemed to vibrate as the Nexus, now liberated from its corrupt programming, sent shockwaves of destabilizing energy rippling outward. "For every dream you've tried to extinguish, for every soul you've tried to subjugate, your time is over," Kellen declared, his voice resonating with an intensity that defied the oppressive din of collapsing systems and retreating enforcers. As the Nexus emitted a final, resonant pulse, the Imperial network of control began to crumble, its digital chains shattering like glass under the relentless force of human defiance. The Enforcers, caught in the midst of the cascading chaos, were rendered disoriented, their once impregnable discipline dissolving into a desperate scramble for survival. In that singular, electrifying moment, the station transformed from a fortress of oppression into a crucible of liberation, its every shattered circuit and flickering light a testament to the unbreakable will of those who dared to dream of freedom. Kellen, his body slick with sweat and his breath ragged from exertion, pressed forward amidst the ruins of Imperial control, his eyes fixed on the horizon of a new dawn that beckoned with the promise of redemption and revolution. "Today, the Empire's grip is broken, and the legacy of our struggle is sealed in every freed mind," he whispered, his words a benediction to the countless lives that had suffered in silence under the weight of tyranny. With the Nexus now humming in a harmonious cadence of hope rather than despair, the station systems faltered and collapsed into disarray, the digital bonds that had once enslaved so many snapping under the pressure of the newly unleashed freedom. As the chaos subsided into a profound, resonant calm, Kellen allowed himself a brief moment of reflection, the taste of victory mingling with the bittersweet sorrow of loss. He knew that the battle he had fought was only the beginning, that the spark of rebellion he had ignited here would spread like wildfire across the stars, consuming every vestige of the Empire's dark legacy. In that charged silence, punctuated only by the soft, persistent hum of the reformed Nexus, Kellen vowed to carry forward the spirit of Orion, to be the living embodiment of every hope and every dream that had been sacrificed on the altar of oppression. "Your light will guide us, forever," he murmured, his gaze lifting to the vast expanse beyond the shattered walls of the station, where the first glimmers of a liberated cosmos shone like distant promises waiting to be fulfilled. And so, in the heart of darkness, amidst the ruins of an empire that had dared to challenge the indomitable spirit of humanity, Kellen's defiant act of rebellion became a beacon of everlasting hope, a promise that no force, however powerful or ruthless, could ever extinguish the fire of freedom. Burning within the soul of mankind, Kellen emerged from the chaos of the collapsing station into a realm of profound silence and nascent possibility, the echoes of his triumph still reverberating through his soul as he surveyed the aftermath of tyranny with a heart both heavy with loss and alight with hope. His body ached from the struggle, every scar a testament to the price of freedom, yet in his eyes burned the fire of a new dawn, a dawn that promised not just the end of oppression but the birth of a future defined by the indomitable human spirit. "We have broken their chains," he murmured, his voice trembling with the weight of countless sacrifices, "and now, every freed soul will be the cornerstone of our reborn civilization." In the wake of the Nexus's final pulse, which had shattered the Empire's digital bonds and silenced the mechanical march of enforcers, Kellen gathered with the rebels who had emerged from the shadows of defeat to embrace this hard-won victory. They stood together on the precipice of a transformed existence, their faces illuminated by the soft radiance of distant stars and the promise of an unburdened tomorrow. A young rebel, her eyes wide with a mixture of awe and determination, stepped forward and asked, "Do you truly believe that we can build a world free from the scars of the past?" Kellen knelt to meet her gaze, his voice imbued with both the sorrow of remembrance and the certainty of conviction as he replied, "I have seen the darkness they wrought, and I have felt the crushing weight of despair, yet within each of us lies a spark, a light that no tyrant can extinguish. Today, that spark becomes a beacon that will guide us toward a future of our own making." His words resonated like a clarion call, stirring the hearts of those who had long lived in fear, and in that moment, the rebels felt the stirrings of a revolution that extended far beyond the confines of a ruined station. The air was thick with unspoken promises as Kellen continued, "Every act of defiance, every sacrifice made in the shadows of oppression, has led us here. Now, we must harness that collective strength to forge a new destiny, a destiny where our thoughts remain free, our voices unbridled, and our dreams unchained by the cold algorithms of control." The murmurs of agreement from his comrades filled the void, their resolve solidifying into a single, unified purpose. As the remnants of the station's shattered infrastructure lay scattered like broken links in a once omnipotent chain, Kellen felt the weight of history settle upon him, a reminder that the battle for liberation was both a culmination of past struggles and the harbinger of future triumphs. "We honor those who fell by ensuring their sacrifice was not in vain," he declared, his tone both gentle and resolute, "and we commit ourselves to building a society where every individual can rise, unafraid and unshackled by the tyranny of a distant oppressor." The rebels, united by their shared pain and a collective yearning for renewal, began to mobilize, their movements a harmonious blend of cautious optimism and fierce determination. With each step they took away from the ruins, they left behind the remnants of a system that had sought to erase their very essence, and with each step, the promise of a liberated future grew brighter. Kellen's mind wandered to the memories of the long nights spent poring over encrypted files and the quiet moments of introspection when the enormity of their task threatened to overwhelm him. It was in those moments that he had drawn strength from the vision of Orion, whose brilliance and sacrifice had lit the way toward this pivotal juncture. Orion's dream was never to be a tool for subjugation, he recalled aloud, his voice soft but filled with unwavering conviction, but rather a beacon for those yearning for freedom, a catalyst for change that no regime could ever truly control. His words, spoken in the quiet aftermath of conflict, were a reminder that even as the physical scars of battle began to heal, the spiritual wounds inflicted by oppression required nurturing with hope, unity, and a steadfast commitment to justice. The rebels listened, their expressions reflecting both the pain of loss and the anticipation of rebirth. As Kellen continued, "Let every shattered fragment of our past serve as a lesson, a reminder that our strength lies not in submission but in our unyielding capacity to rise from the ashes of despair and forge a new reality with our bare hands." His gaze swept over the gathered faces, each one a mosaic of determination and resilience, and in that shared moment of understanding, a silent vow was made, a vow to never allow the darkness of tyranny to eclipse the light of human potential again. With the Empire's oppressive machinery now reduced to a relic of a bygone era, Kellen and his comrades set forth into the vast expanse of the cosmos, their journey a testament to the power of unity and the enduring spirit of resistance. They moved not as scattered fragments of a defeated people, but as a cohesive force, each step echoing the rhythm of a future where freedom was not a privilege but an inalienable right. Our path will not be easy, Kellen acknowledged, his tone measured yet imbued with hope, but every hardship we endure, every obstacle we overcome, will be a stepping stone toward a society where every individual is cherished, every dream is nurtured, and every voice is heard. The weight of his words settled among the rebels like a sacred promise, a commitment to rebuild what had been torn asunder by the relentless hand of oppression. In the quiet that followed, as the first light of a liberated cosmos began to pierce the veil of night, Kellen felt a profound sense of peace, tempered by the knowledge that the struggle was far from over, yet buoyed by the certainty that the spirit of rebellion would endure long after the remnants of tyranny had faded into memory. Today marks the end of an era and the beginning of our true ascent, he proclaimed, his voice resonating with the power of a leader who had witnessed both the depths of despair and the heights of human resilience. Let our unity be the foundation upon which we build a future of unbridled possibility, a future where the legacy of oppression is transformed into a celebration of our shared humanity. And so, with hearts ablaze and minds clear with the promise of renewal, the rebels marched onward, their footsteps a harmonious symphony of liberation echoing across the vast, uncharted territories of their new world. In that timeless moment, as the cosmos stretched out before them in a panorama of infinite potential, Kellen's voice, steady and resolute, declared one final truth that would forever define their struggle: we are the architects of our destiny, the keepers of a flame that no force can ever extinguish, and together, we will illuminate the universe with the radiant light of freedom.